Nigeria, and I make you welcome. This is Enterprise Weekend, reaching you from Enterprise Television from the economic hub of Nigeria, Lagos. I am Henry UBBK, and we kickstart today, interestingly, with all we have from our newspapers, and right after that, we crisscross to our main conversation also for today. Do well to be part of what we do. Have a say in what we say. You can always find us when you reach us at enterprisetvnews.com. You may equally like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. I am very so honored to have with me right here, joining me right here in our studios, Dotun Oladipo. He is a journalist, public affairs analyst, and equally a development communicator. Thank you so very much, Mr. Dotun, for being here.
Thank you so much.
Truly do appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate
all right.
Too.
So beautiful. So let's kick-start today with the Guardian newspaper this morning. And we have the big story, revenue target claim. Why Nigerians aren't so impressed. On the top strip of the same newspaper, we have police permit for tinted windshield is unnecessary burden for Nigerians, and equally in Nepal and danger of ignoring youth grievances. And equally have other interesting stories. Federal government hails Bielsa Namibe sister cities deal, and equally we have lots of other interesting stories. But let's get to the big story here. Revenue target claim. Why Nigerians aren't so impressed. Mr. Dotu, I love you to speak on this. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is so very impulsive when he says things. The subsidy is gone. He didn't think through it. And today, Nigerians are going through the difficulty of that. And right again, he came to say that they've met their target. 2 weeks down the line, they collected loan.
Yeah. you see, sometimes it's so difficult to align pronouncements with some realities. And that's the difficulty we are facing. The government has met its revenue target.
Okay.
But we are not feeling it in our pockets. We are not feeling it on our tables. I'm not just talking of any table, but the dining table.
Yes.
We are not feeling it in our kitchen. Is it normal for that to happen for a country that is distressed like Nigeria? Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, the DG of the World Trade Organization, says it is normal.
It's normal.
That's what she said.
Okay.
It's normal. And why is it normal? According to her explanation. A country that is in distress will first make money to stabilize. It is when you stabilize that you can then move up the ladder again to a point where you feel relief or you return to normal. I tried to rationalize that, and the analogy I put to it was, okay, if somebody falls down and has an injury, there'll be a lot of pains. At some point when the doctor comes, that pain will reduce. At some point you stop feeling the pain, but it does not mean that the scar will go away easily. It could take weeks, it could take months, it could take years. That's my rationalization of that position. Now, we've been talking about so many things in the country, and topmost for me is this issue of food security. The only way Nigerians can feel all of these claims, I'm not an economist as far as I'm concerned, until when my pocket is saying yes, it is feeling better. I can't relate with those claims because for me they are claims. I'm not an economist. I don't read all of those figures, but I know what my pocket is saying. I read my pocket and I look at my table.
Yeah.
Sometimes I get into discussions with my children. They say, I want this. And the first thing I ask, do you know how much you have spent today? So they have now come to that realization that before you come to talk to me about spending more money in a day, you must first think of what you have spent earlier in the day. Because we are not talking about 10 years ago, where we had enough to go around, where a little money
could go round
a lot of things.
Yes.
Now it's a lot of money buying a little thing. So that's where we are. And until we get to the point where we're able to say, yes, when I wake up in the morning as an average Nigerian, because I can't say I'm poor. I say to people, the moment you wake up and you're able to eat, and you have hope for the afternoon and for the night, you are not poor. Forget about the quality of what you are eating. You are eating something. Some people can't even eat. So if I can say at that point, I mean now, and say, no, I have to do a lot of my calculations before I can do any spending, then I don't see those figures relating to me in the way the government wants us to see it. And that's why I keep saying, see, if you don't explain these facts and figures to people in simple terms that we can understand, and put it in short-term, medium-term, and long-term projections for Nigerians to see, we're going to keep being in trouble.
So does it mean that the president and those within the presidency, they have a long list of people handling the media? So do you think there's a deficit, there's a lacuna that they're not trying to fill there? Because you said they should explain to Nigerians in simple terms. So we understand all of this.
Now, when you ask certain questions, you get responses. But we are still at a point where those who are running the show in terms of reaching out to the public and the media, they are still not seeing that there is a huge gap between what you say under a roof and what you say in the public. Let me explain that, sir. In Enterprise TV, has anybody come to say to you, dedicate 30 minutes, paid, so that you are not doing free publicity? Because as you are doing it, you're also feeding those who are working here.
Definitely.
You're able to pay their salary. Has anybody come to you to say, this is the way to go? Let's buy 30 minutes of your time, do a discussion program. Let somebody come and explain to Nigerians. And I say to people, the National Orientation Agency is doing a lot.
It's doing a lot?
Yes.
Really?
And yes, I'm going to get, if you are not yet on the platform where they share their almost weekly explainer, it's a bulletin.
Okay.
They call it the explainer, where they take a topic, for instance, this issue of the president, saying we have met our target.
Yes.
What was the target? How did they meet it? Where did they meet it? What's the short-term gain? What's the medium-term gain? What's the long-term gain? That's all they do in that explainer. But that explainer does not get to even you as a journalist.
It's very well, because that's what I wanted to say. It's specific for the elite.
And that's the point we're making, that everybody must see it. You must reach out to everybody. And you don't just reach out. Because now we have gone beyond the point where the media is saying as a social responsibility, just keep dishing out information from the government. It's never done anywhere for free. One of the things people don't realize, we lost it during the regime of late President Muhammadu Buhari, where he cancelled everything that was going to the media. You recollect at that time, the media ran into a lot of trouble.
Very well. Even
all the big ones,
big ones started,
from which you just heard the story, had to trim completely. The Nation had to do it. Vanguard had to do it. Everybody did it, including the broadcast stations. We've got to have a rethink about that. And say, see, we know you are also a business. Create the enabling environment and let people tell us what you are doing. Let them see that the media is not hostile, but the media must always survive. And in survival, like I tell people, it is either somebody is paying for your airtime, your space, or you are using that space to meet the need of the public. And the public, as we speak, the majority, don't want to hear anything government. I say to people, we have come to a point in this country where people don't even read any serious news again. They just want the things that will make them happy. Talk about sex, talk about entertainment. That's what people are looking for. At least if government cannot make me happy, I should look for a way to make myself happy.
An alternative.
So they don't even read these things in a way. They look forward to certain programs, discussion programs like this, where they can call in, where they can express their anger, vent their frustration. But if you are providing them with all of this information, see, this is where this government is going. this is what has been done. This is the implication. In 1 year, you should be able to get this. In another year, you should be able to get this. But sometimes also, beyond the release of information, some government officials, ministers, commissioners, they don't even want to commit to timelines for projects because they know they will meet it. There was a time I asked one of the top people in the presidency who was part of the information machinery. He's out now. I said, you are talking about this CNG. You are talking about it. It's nice to hear. But can you give us the short term, the medium term, and the long term plans? He couldn't. And you have come on TV to tell us, government is going to do this, government is going to do that. No.
But to some extent, that is not, it's the fault of the presidency itself, because if the intention is not there, how does the person handling communication even communicate better?
That's the point.
Yes.
That's the point. For instance, now, there was a question that was asked by Adiza Bala Usman.
Yes.
The woman who takes responsibility for looking at what all these ministries, departments, and agencies are doing. Very fundamental question. You have followed the president to, say, China. We've signed MOUs. We've had discussions. Can we see on paper our action plan? 1 year after, what's the progress we have made? Where are we in terms of all these MOUs we signed? Are you following up? What have you done? Those are the things that are missing. For instance now, Ajaokuta steel mill is one of our biggest gold mines in this country. We appointed a man who is from that state, Kogi State, to oversee that place. Have you seen any movement? Have you heard anything? We have gone to Russia to say, okay, let's look at this thing again. We've gone to China, different places where this man appeared. What are we getting for all of these movements for which we have spent money? I don't think I can see anything. And in this country, one of our biggest needs is power. If Ajaokuta becomes functional today, we can take care of our power needs. Because even solar with its panel can serve this entire structure we have here without you getting on the grid. But where are we? And that place is a gold mine.
Well, the truth remains that you know that there's so much happening behind the curtain that is not being communicated to the people.
Yes. And
I wonder, I would love to believe it's your colleague, and you know him too well, Bayo Onanuga, and he's been there for a very long time, from the news to PM to lots of other places, and today he is one of those biggest stakeholders in charge of the media channel with the presidency. Why do you think he has found it very so difficult to ensure that all of these things that you had going on, I mean talking about, is being implemented? Let people get to know what the stories are. Let people get to know what the information is like.
I won't be answering that question talking about this particular government.
Okay.
But let me tell you one of the past governments that we've had. People in that media team,
yes,
they always want to do things, but they are also conscious. Because the Mr. Onanuga you mentioned,
yes,
for instance, was and is still a media owner. So he knows that the media, the oxygen for the media, is funding.
Okay.
And I'll tell you a story to back that up. To know that, I'm not saying it's happening now, but it's something that has happened in the past. When that government wanted to celebrate one of its anniversaries in office, a proposal was made. Let's give advert to say what we have done. Let's shout. That paper was passed to the office of a civil servant who is supposed to handle the payment. That paper was on his table for over 1 year. Approved already by the president.
Approved already?
By the president.
So why did he hold on to it?
So somebody in that administration, one of the media team managers, went to the then secretary to the government of the federation to say, see, this is what is happening. We've been to this man's office for so many times. He said, whose office did you go? I said, this office. Don't go there again, please. I beg you in the name of God. What do you need? It was from the SGF's office that they paid that money. Because that man was a super pamsec who could do and undo in that government. And nothing will happen. He's retired now. But that's the kind of frustration our people face when they get into government.
Wow.
I have not taken a political appointment since the return to democracy. It's not because I have not gotten
offers.
Okay. So many. At least not fewer than 5. But I've turned them down. Because like I've said, I'll wake up one day and slap the government. Or whoever I'm working with. Because it can be very frustrating when you're in that system. I'm telling you that from the experiences of those who have been in that system. At least I've made recommendation, and not less than 2 people had to flee that government because the environment was toxic. They take things to civil servants, they just sit on it. So it's not as if they don't know what is happening. But how do you feed the media with its oxygen when there's a lot of frustration in that system? This morning, we took a walk, and one of the things I was asked, why do civil servants, who, after all the complaints, my salary is too small, it's only 70,000, why don't they resign? Because they know where to mount roadblocks that will bring money to them. So, mix it all together, and you see that it's not that the media team does not know what it wants to do, but the environment is limiting. Forget about all the security clearance they have to go through and all of this and all of that. It's a toxic environment for the media because they don't see us as a part of the government. They hail us, call us the first
40 state of the realm.
Yes, we are there in name, but we are not there in activities. Before they remember that, okay, we are going for a program, the media should be there, they would have taken care of other sectors. You will see more security men who have nothing doing at such places than the media that is even supposed to provide and make it available to the public.
Well, it's actually very, very sad because I remember between 1995 and 1999, that was when the National Orientation Agency were really at their top game. I remember one advert, MAMSA, Education for All, by the year 2000, Jerry Ghana era. You know, so that was when the National Orientation Agency were really doing their job. But now, I do not know what they are actually really doing. If it's still because of the fund...
it's getting better now.
It's getting better.
I can tell you that.
Okay.
I can tell you that it's getting better under him. You can see some form of movement going from state to state, educating people on what the government is doing.
Okay.
But like I've said, the dimension that they are now going to add to it, that's for the National Orientation Agency, is to find a way of giving us hope. Don't tell me that this is what we have done. Let's be able to look forward. In 2 years, we'll finish this road. It will link you to this place. Yes. You can bring in this, you can bring in... Those are the kind of things Nigerians want to hear.
Very true.
Educate us. Let us know where we are going.
Very true.
A lot of people are sitting on money, but they don't even know because they can't see the government presence that will make it happen.
Very true. Because I actually saw on TikTok a young lady who benefited from the student loan program said she never thought she would get that loan. She just literally applied like every other person and she got it. Unfortunately, some of these programs are not being communicated to people, and she came to clear the air. That is an opportunity for Nigerians to know that there's money seated somewhere, and the reason you've not gotten it is because you've not applied. So I think the media channel, you know, should really do something about it. Done, yes. So let's go to the next paper. But of course, this time around, I'd love to take it from your media organization, theeagleonline.com.ng. So we'll be taking lots of stories from here. We have like Airpeace crew test positive for alcohol and drug. We equally have Obasa speaks on ambition after tenure as a speaker. Ekiti needs a leader capable of mobilizing for Tinubu's reform. GWI influencer in Yolua cheer on Hildebasi at world record of jollof attempt. So I'd love us to take on that particular matter. Hildebasi has done Nigeria proud. There's no doubt. There's no doubt about that.
I want you to add again.
Yes, again. She has a way of really bringing that story up there. And while I was watching the live show, I just asked myself, when would our politicians act like Hilda Bassi and start creating things that would get the world to talk about?
It's a big question, because what our politicians do most of the time is, this is the norm. And the norm can't get you to where you are supposed to go. You've got to be innovative. You've got to be able to think out of the box. Most of the time, what we are politicians, especially legislators, talk about is this constituency project, which money doesn't even come from their pocket. And when you go through what other countries are doing, you'll see that lawmaking has gone beyond sitting in the chamber, drafting, and drafting. It's gone beyond that. You've got to be able to innovate. You don't need to wait on the government all of the time to make things happen in your constituency. And that is what Hilda Bassi is showing us. Really, we can make things happen on our own. I credit our team for what they did again yesterday. The planning overwhelmed them. Very obvious.
Yes.
Because where they wanted to use initially was the Muri Okola Park,
Okay.
which they said could take only 3,000 to 3,500 maximum.
Yes.
Before that event began yesterday,
Yes.
they had over 20,000
Whoa.
people
Really?
who had registered to attend. Because they did their homework well. They did the publicity. Just like we spoke about the other time. People were in touch. They communicated what they wanted to achieve. So they had to move it from that place to a bigger venue, which they eventually used. And it turned out well. That's what we should be doing. Can we innovate? Even as individuals. What am I doing now? How can I make it better? Because indeed, a lot of us, when they ask you what the problem is, the first thing we mention is government. I've told people, at some point in our lives, we have to pretend like the government doesn't exist. Because indeed, if we all wait for government, we'll all die. So, let our politicians go beyond all of this showbiz stuff that we do. Go into the chamber or be on the TV. When something happens, they cry on air, and we are waiting for the next disaster to happen. You recollect that we are still waiting for that report of the train crash.
Yes, exactly.
We're still waiting.
Yeah.
Because we need to know. We really need to know. If all the reports we have had about the fact that that route already has CCTV, they are watching, they are doing this, and that still happens, then somebody must be held accountable. We must know what happened. So it has gone beyond just doing the normal. We've got to go out and do the extraordinary, because that's what people are expecting. That's why that's the only way to make people believe in the government and those who are working or serving the government. Otherwise, no matter what you tell Nigerians, once we can't see the evidence, it's normal. If you tell your child this thing is bean cake or cake itself, and the child comes and finds out that it's bitter cola, that child will lose confidence in you over time. That child will lose confidence in you. And that's what is happening to us in Nigeria. We've almost lost it with the government. Hopefully, things are going to change in a few years if we get it right. For Hilda Bassi, I say to her, congratulations. It's not, in fact, a lot of people were asking before that program began, how is she going to cook this thing? But she had a template.
Prepared for it over time.
Prepared for it. She took her time to do that. Yes. And I congratulate her.
Very well.
Open that despite the fall, the slight fall of that pot, nothing.
Oh, the pot fell
yes,
at some point.
It became cooked and they were trying to take it off to weigh.
Oh, really?
Yes. I pray that doesn't affect our chances.
The chances. Oh, okay.
Of getting this. But one thing I knew about her, if this fails, expect her in another
should
2
do
months.
better. Well, a big congratulations to Hilda Bassi, and just like my guest Dr. did say, you know, this is a clarion call for our leaders, you know, to do better. You know, just like Hilda Bassi, she has 24 hours, just like every one of us have 24 hours. But the question is, what are we doing with the 24 hours that we have? As the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, what are you doing with the 24 hours you have? As ministers, as senators, as governors, you have 24 hours. What are you able to do with that? Like Hilda Bassi had done, and equally putting Nigeria on the map. Everyone is talking about jollof.
Jollof.
Yes.
Nigerian
jollof.
We want to take it away from even the
owners. From the owners.
Senegalese.
Yes, exactly. All right, so that's just about the time we have for now. And just to let you know that Dr. will be here to take us on our main conversation when we return. Nigeria spends 981.5 billion naira on elections with dwindling credibility. In a bit, a Still Enterprise Weekend. Please don't go anywhere. For joining us. This is Still Enterprise Weekend, reaching you from Enterprise Television. Let's head straight to our conversation for today. Nigeria has spent about 981.5 billion naira, that is about $5.48 billion, on 7 general elections since 1999, making it polls among the most expensive globally. The 1999 transition election alone cost 32 billion naira, that is about $1.46 billion, while subsequent elections have seen steadily rising expenses, with the 2023 polls gulping about 355.3 billion naira, that is about $815 million US. Despite the huge cost, Nigeria's elections continue to face credibility challenges, attracting thousands of petitions, from just 2 in 1999 to nearly 2,000 in 2023. Compared to countries like Pakistan, Russia, and Canada, Nigeria spends far more on its elections despite having similar or even smaller voter population. Observers attribute the high cost to corruption, logistical hurdles, the destruction of electoral materials, and politicians' desperation. INEC have also invested heavily in technology such as the BVAS and electronic transmission system, much of which has failed to guarantee credibility outcomes. I still have with me Mr. Dotto. Thank you so very much for being here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, so let's get to talking this. I'm very passionate about this. You are a publisher of an outstanding media organization, and I love to believe at one point or another you would have, you know, had the opportunity of talking about this and more. Elections in Nigeria, we spend so much, like you had from our report, but we don't see anything out of it. Is election in Nigeria becoming more like a business than it is about ensuring that, that we do the needful? Yes.
Well, indeed, reporting politics is my tough. I was politics editor of The Punch at some time in my career. Now, these figures are actually huge in terms of what you commit to election. But I'm sure you know, it's far, far more than this. When you add what happens in other government agencies that have to do with this election, we're talking of only what INEC has spent. Can you imagine the deployment of the military, the police, civil defense, and all of those? Because they are part of this expedition, which we've not captured.
Yeah, of course, we didn't capture. Remember, just days back, the Nigerian Police Force said it spent 23 million on crackers for its men. So imagine how much they will spend throughout the electioneering period buying water and
they move people in order not to have compromised people manning their areas. They move from, some will go from Kano to Bayelsa and all like that. They mix them up, which is also an expenditure. But my take is this. Until we reform, we'll continue to spend more.
So when you say reform, what are you talking about?
Our electoral process, we need to reform it. Otherwise, we'll be spending more. Now, but that is not to say that in comparing ourselves to other countries, we are on the same pedestal in terms of spending. For instance, what happened, why did the figures jump up from one electoral cycle to the other, one election cycle to the other? Exchange rate.
Exchange rate. Okay.
Yes, because you
True.
see the conversion to dollar.
Yeah. Okay.
You see the conversion to dollar. I've shared this with a couple of my friends. In 2010, I went to the US. I saw a Toyota Camry, a 2006 model. I bought it for $9,500.
Okay.
At that time, sir.
$9,500.
$500.
Okay.
At that time, sir, dollar was 125 naira. That
Yes.
is the naira
Yes. Yeah. Value.
was 125 naira
Yeah.
to a dollar.
Yes.
Some years back, I think that was 2018 or thereabout, when we started having a major crisis with the dollar. I checked the model for 2014, the same 4-year gap.
Yes.
It still remained $9,500.
Wow.
But we were looking at an exchange rate of about $1,500. So when you look at that, you'll understand why we are in this crisis. So that also must be taken care of. I have a friend who keeps saying, see, if it is the politics that we have to play, we must go and play it in order for our naira to have its value. Because it doesn't seem to me like it is normal for the naira to have suddenly crashed the way it did. And we are today oscillating 1516.
Hovering 1516, yeah.
If we get it right, you will see that when we take it down to the dollar, it's going to come down. So that's the first thing we must understand about all this calculation.
Okay.
Is the cost. And then generally, the cost of living in the country has also increased. Don't forget that transportation is a major part of election.
Yes.
You are flying, you are going by sea, and you are on the road. So, how much was fuel in 1999 when we returned to democracy? How much is it now? So even if you deploy the same numbers of vehicles that you deployed in 1999 in 2024, or let's say 2023, which was the last election that was, it couldn't have been the same cost. It couldn't have been the same cost. Because tires that we bought in 1999, brand new, for 2,000, 3,000, maximum 7,000, you now buy it some for as much as 200,000 now. Those are the factors fueling all of this. Papers that you print for so amount in 1999, you can't go near it now and print it for the same amount. And don't forget, we print our papers outside of Nigeria. We don't print it within.
Which is not really necessary.
I'm saying that even those who work in the Nigerian printing and minting, yes, they should all be sacked, because I don't see what they are doing. They can't print examination papers, they can't print passport, they can't.
Yeah, what exactly is it they are
printing? What are they doing there? You don't print a naira in the country. These are the costs we are talking about. It's not the cost of somebody just sitting in his office and saying, bring me coffee. No. If we were paying a youth corps member for participating in that election 100 naira in 1999, we dare not do that in 2023. It's going to be like a 10,000 or so. Yeah. Those are the costs. That's why I'm saying some of these costs can be taken off INEC by way of reformation. Number one, we need to find a cheaper means of moving our equipment around. At some point, they also involve the Air Force. Now that the Army and the Navy, they have their own choppers and planes, they also involve them in moving necessary papers across the country. The rate at which you flew for 1 hour, 1999, is not the rate at which you are going to do it this year. So it's a lot of things. No, that's one. we must go back to this electronic voting. There is no way we can you can run away from that. People should be able to sit in the comfort of their home instead of bringing everybody out, lining them up for us, and let them vote. And that equally applies to diaspora voting. Some people live where they are in the US, in the UK, in Canada, all over, to come back home just to vote. They don't need to. Too early voting for them. Let them be the first set of people so that you can monitor it.
Yeah.
You need to be able to monitor these things. And it's shameful that when you go out of this country or even within, you find out that some of the best tech guys that we have, they are Nigerians. Yeah. These are things we should be able to deploy people to do for us. We should spend less. Because that itself is not even the democracy. It is just the process to electing. Let me add this. I think that will be my top point. We should ensure that nobody, this does not affect INEC. It affects, because it's part of the costs of elections that we actually look away from. Nobody should be sworn in until they conclude all the processes, including litigations. A lot of people are in office, especially governors and presidents. They use that money to prosecute elections. That's why somebody will be in office and say because he's struggling for second term, they take him to court. He will go and take 200 senior advocates of Nigeria. And those guys, you know, they don't come cheap. Yeah. It's still a part of it. We should ensure. There was a time there was a proposal that elections should take place in the November before the year of handing over, which will be the next year. We shouldn't just send in it. It's a dangerous thing to do, and we should consider a single term for the president and the governors, so that nobody is sitting in office and going through litigation to retain that office. Don't forget, we can want to overlook it, but if you go through the documents quoted, litigation is one of the greatest components of what we're looking at.
From 2 in 1999 to about 2000 in the last election.
So how do you do that? And it is a must for INEC to show up in all of those places. Otherwise, INEC will be accused of bias.
But how could we get all of this, right? We all know the way politics is played in Nigeria. Politics is played in a form that someone who knows that he is not popular, he knows he might not win, all right, but will go behind and do what they know how to do best. It's not like INEC does not understand how they can deploy technology to ensure that free, credible election is what it should be. But when politicians are part of the problem, how do you think we can better solve it?
Politicians will always be part of the problem because it's a struggle for survival and power. They will always be. It is for us to be able to say, okay, these are the safeguards. And like I said, one of it should be one time in office, 5 years.
But those that will make it happen, parliamentarians, are equally the deeper issue.
That's where the problem is. They don't even want it to happen. They don't want it to. It's to their own advantage. Because if we go back in time, you recollect that there was a time when there was this strident debate about lawmaking being a part-time job, not full-time. Some of them that I know, they are richer than what the assembly, the whole of the National Assembly, will earn in 1 year. They are richer than that. So, those people should stay back home, focus more on their businesses, and come to do part-time lawmaking. That way they can even see clearer, they can see better. But they are full-time, and they want the system to bear the burden of their being full-time legislators.
Imagine Ojo Zokalu, who of course is the publisher or owner of The Sun, saying that 14 million naira a month is too small for him. Two-term governor.
Hold on, sir. What will you do with 14 million naira? That's a big question. Is it to foil his car? Or to put power in his house 24/7? That's a big question. That's what I'm saying. A lot of them are richer than the National Assembly itself. But the danger in what they earn, sir, is not in the monthly emolument that we see. It's in the allowances. The allowances are crazy. I don't know if it's been expunged now. Despite the fact that everything is online, they still get allowances for newspapers.
that they don't read.
How will they read it when it's already on their phones? But somebody must benefit from that. That's why sometimes I overlook that part of the argument. That how will the vendor sell?
Yeah, true.
Is it to me and you? When in the morning we are already
overwhelmed with issues.
When we already know everything that is inside the paper. So that's why I overlook some of those. But there are so many things in the allowances that when you go through it, you feel like I'm just killing this country. They make it look like the vehicles that they give to them. Yes, they will say, is it this? When they discount it at the end of the 4 years, they sell it to them. At how much? Peanuts. Let these guys go back and do their day-to-day businesses and come and meet once or twice. Now they even do 3 times. What they call overseeing those ministries, departments, and agencies under them is what takes their time. And a lot of times, I don't see that oversight function. I don't see how it helps. Because that is part of the reasons why they don't want to let me.
Now, yes. No, you're saying something.
They profit from them a lot. We've been saying this all over, these oversight functions. It's something else that a lot of them use it for. That's why it's going to be tough if we don't go through either a constitutional amendment that will come through a constituent assembly.
What does that mean now?
Now, what it means is this. The piecemeal amendment to the Constitution that is being done now won't help us. It won't. What it needs is something that is taken completely out of the hands of the lawmakers.
Okay.
And
given to who?
To Nigerians who will be empowered by their people. Just like we've always had constitutional conferences. Let them discuss and come up with resolutions and let there be a free way of getting that thing passed as the will of the people. Look at the one that was done the last time, which people have described as the best document we've ever had as a constitution. What happened? It's still lying there in the shelves. If we give these things to our lawmakers to undo, it will never see the light of the day. It won't, because their interest must be protected.
Very well.
And like I always tell people, I don't fault anybody. Even when you enter an aircraft, they tell you, when there is a problem, make sure you save yourself first. That's what our people are doing. They don't think about the good of the majority. And that's why we cannot go beyond having some things in our elections done away with. Because if you go down to the level of one term for everybody, for instance, as governors or president, they will think it's going to affect them. No, but lawmaking is a different ballgame.
Okay, they can be there as much as they want to.
It requires a lot of experience. You get better with it. But most of them, go and check the records. Do they even meet the number of times they should be in the assembly a year? Some of them just sit down there and you won't hear their name throughout the year. Because they don't make any meaningful contribution, they don't bring bills. I'm sure a lot of them have not had one bill passed. So what are we talking about? But they are the ones who are holding the country. Because we can't get to do all of these amendments until we get to that point where these people overlook all their sentiments and allow the country to run. The country can run. If even as we stand now, a few things will change. I was telling somebody last night of this one, I said, if we all make up our minds that from this moment we want to do what is right. Everybody, from the cleaner to the policeman to the lawmakers to the president, everything that is right, this country will change in 24 hours. Because we know, and we don't need the constitution to do that.
Very well. Very, very true. Because so many people have said, even some lawyers I've had on this platform have said that what we need is not a change of constitution, but a change of ourselves as Nigerians. Now, looking at from the beginning of the Fourth Republic, 1999, up until now, when we take a look at separation of power between the executive, legislature, and the judiciary, it has always been separate, autonomous from 1999. Today, the legislature and the judiciary are looking like an appendage of the executive, and further worsened by the president of our president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who wants everyone all to himself. The speaker, the Senate president now, is standing on the mandate as we speak, singing things are getting better.
See, the way I always react to that is
Yes.
any man who is sure of himself, who, to quote Adam Oshiomhole, does not want his sins forgiven, can stand on his own. A lot of people have done things that they know they want to cover up, so that their sins can be forgiven.
Okay. Oh, okay.
That's why they are running to APC. A lot of them. That's why they are running to APC.
Okay, they don't have a choice.
They don't. They know that they don't. So, about working together, one of the things people don't also talk about in this country is the fact that from where we copied our constitution largely, the vice president of that country is in the assembly. Don't forget, the vice president is in the Senate in the US.
The current the past vice president.
All of them, they are in the Senate.
Still serving their constituencies.
It's a must for them.
Yes.
So that's the relationship that you see happening. So there's nothing bad working together. But we must not work together because we have sins to cover. That's not what we should be doing, but that's what is happening in Nigeria. Let's work together. But don't work together because you have sins to cover. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yes.
So I can tell you to go to hell in a way that you are going to look forward to that journey. And we don't need to fight. But it's our own, we have turned it into whatever the president wants, we do. I'm not saying the president is always right.
Okay.
But at the same time, the president is wrong sometimes. Some decisions that have been taken and backed by the legislators, the legislators are bad, and they know it.
They know. But they don't
And they don't want to even say it to the president. A lot of things happening in the National Assembly that we see clearly are intended to cover up some wrongs are there. And they must free themselves from that.
Now,
afford to throw that part.
Beautiful. So just before we call it a wrap, for the want of time, come 2027, Nigerians are preparing to go to the polls yet again. When you compare to 2023, do you see Nigerians ready to come and work with what they have, work with their civic responsibility, knowing that the 2023 issue of legitimization of that election is still hovering around? There are lots of Nigerians that still believe that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is still not their president.
Yes, that's what they want to believe. But he's the president.
Yeah, of course, constitutionally. But of course, we know that people who are there to go cast the vote needs to be, convinced that their vote counted and that, yes, this person won. But a situation where largely it is seen like, this guy didn't win, but of course he is today the Nigeria's president. 2027, do you think Nigerians will be ready to come out and vote?
Let me tell you that the way I see it, the turnout will be worse than 2023. Okay. Yes, we've always argued, and rightly so, that it is not only in Nigeria that voter turnout is dropping massively. People don't go to vote again. Not in the US,
not in the US, UK.
Yeah. Anywhere mentioned it, they don't go out to vote.
So people are tired of democracy?
Well, they are not tired of democracy.
So what's the problem?
They are just saying, anybody you want to put there, put the person there. I was asked, what's the solution? And I said, the solution for people who feel very passionate about Nigeria is to get into clusters. You have your office here. I'm not staying too far from you. Are we in the same local government? Can we come together and seize this local government from all these big parties? or even within the big parties, seize it for our own wish and turn around this local government, make it a model. When we are finished making a model out of this local government, can we get people of like minds in some other local governments and seize the states? Don't forget, that was the idea behind that the NSAS, that was where it started from. That young people of like minds, can we get together and seize this country from these old men? But where did we end up? Among the young people who were supposed to seize the country, they were seizing the group for the older
themselves. Yeah.
It's a lot of confusion. We don't seem to know what we want. We complain about the government, but when it is time to take action, what we end up doing is we end up selling ourselves again to the same people we are complaining about. It's a big issue, sir. And the way in which we can rectify this is to ensure that 2027 we put ourselves in clusters, encourage people to come out. Let us fight for a small area where we can, even if it is the councillorship of the area that we want to produce, let us do so. Let that councillor
be the best councillor in Nigeria.
Let him not go and get mixed up with this same set of people that we are complaining about. It's a big issue. And if we are able to get one local government, we make it a model, we extend to 2, we go to 3, we go to 4, we go to 5, then we are beginning to make a statement.
And by default, the system might even begin to work.
Begin to even look at you and say, this is a model. Can we take this chairman and put him as this? You know, but it is going to take time. Elections are every 4 years. There is nothing we can do about that. It's going to take time, but it must start now. And that's the only way in which we can encourage people to come out to vote. Until people begin to see changes, convincing them to come out and vote is always a problem. And that's what I see happening. If we are not careful, by the time we are getting to 2031, 2035, we'll see just empty polling stations in this country.
Very, very true. And just like the law courts, judiciary have said that they do not have a say in what and who becomes whatever it is they intend to become in Nigeria. It is not in their line. It's not their business. But because we don't get our electioneering right, and that is why it ends up in the court of law. And tomorrow it now looks like the judiciary are the one determining who becomes the leader or whatever it is. They say on eyes of the judiciary. There's no stop looking at them.
When you look at the politicians,
look at our politicians, exactly. You know, it's none of their business.
once you cannot deal with the internal democracy within your party, that's where it starts from. That's where you see sometimes, as they are fighting for who should be the candidate, the governor has emerged. He's also fighting to keep his seat.
Yes.
You know, he's still battling the internal democracy issue within his own party, how he emerged. And at the same time, another party has taken him to court to come and explain how he got the figures that made him governor. So we keep fighting. It's always, and then we tell the judiciary, you are biased.
Oh yes, you are biased. All eyes on the judiciary. You know, someone said that even if you press the default button on Nigeria, and that will still end up in this same circle.
Yes, that's where we are. Until we change our ways.
Yes.
We need to change our ways.
Yes.
We really, really need to. Otherwise, even if this administration does anything, by the time the next one is coming, it's still going to be the same thing. Because it's like what somebody said, Shakespeare said, a recurrent cycle of stupidity.
A recurrent cycle of stupidity. That's all we have for today. Thank you so very much, Mr. Dr. Oladipo.
Thank you.
I truly do appreciate you. Every time you come, it's always a very exciting moment, and the conversation is actually real and realistic. Thank you so very much. People would love to say thank you to you for making this a date. Please do well to visit us. You can always rewatch what we have done today when you visit us at Enterprise TV7. Also, you can read up on everything we've talked about when you visit us at enterprisetvnews.com. My name is Henry Gwibike. It's been a wonderful time with you. God bless Nigeria. God bless you, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye from us.